Hello and welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Sandie Gascon, and she is an integrative healing practitioner, author of Heal Yourself, and founder of the Integrative Healing Academy. After suffering severe side effects from medications during her 20-year battle with chronic migraines, when she was diagnosed with lupus, she committed herself to healing naturally. Through her experiences, she developed a whole body, mind, and spirit approach that addresses the person in a truly holistic manner. She takes the guesswork out of the equation by running functional lab work to see what the body needs. She healed herself of migraines, depression, lupus, interstitial cystitis, and cystic acne. Her purpose to help educate others on the importance of shifting focus to rebuilding and rebalancing the body and removing internal and external stress so the body can heal itself. With her healing practice overflowing, she created the Integrative Healing Academy, where she teaches people how to heal themselves, become a practitioner, and start and scale their online business. She lives in Florida with her husband and son, enjoying the Sunshine State on her 5-acre farm with her horses and her dogs. Sandie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here. You have such a beautiful voice. Oh, I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So to get started, I want to hear more about your story and healing yourself, and how did you kind of step into that space?
Yeah, kind of was just thrust into it. Really had not much choice. Well, we all have a choice, but for me, I always had health issues from the time I was really young. Migraine started at 7. I started suffering from insomnia and going through these really big mood swings from manic to very depressed with migraines. And that started when I was about 13. A lot of joint pain, asthma, a lot of stuff going on from a very young age. So I was always used to being sick. 19, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression. I was actually wanting to become a doctor, and it was actually my 3rd year of university that I decided that wasn't the path for me. I was having issues getting off of a medication. I wasn't getting any help from doctors or pharmacists or anything. They were very much gaslighting me. And from there, when I developed food poisoning, which led to a lupus diagnosis a year later, I decided that the medications weren't what I wanted to do. I had no idea what it was, but I knew it wasn't that. And that just sent me on this very long journey to figure it out. The internet was very different back then. We didn't have all the tools and the resources and the online courses and all these really cool things and access to practitioners all over the world. It wasn't like that back then. So I had to, just stumble around in the dark. And I had a degree in biomedicine, so I did have a really big scientific background. And I just started to really look at the science behind how the body heals and how to use supplements instead of medications. And I was able to get off the medication that I was on. I was able to put the lupus into what they would call remission. And we really can't use the word heal because we would get sued. So I like to, we don't say we cured it. So we have to be careful with our language, but I was able to get my antibodies down, get my energy levels up, get back to work because I ended up on government disability. And from there, I still kept trying this trial and error, and I knew I wanted to become a practitioner, but it was a little too scary. So I just did what I had already been trained to do and invested a lot of money in, which was becoming a massage therapist. In Canada, it's a 3-year-long program. It's very in depth. So I went back to work doing that, and in trying to clear my skin, I developed interstitial cystitis, which is like a very painful bladder condition. Feels like you have a bladder infection all the time. And I tried another year on my own before I realized I needed to be able to run some labs and see what was going on. And so I got certified. I was able to run labs. And from there, I was able to see what my body needed. And I was able to heal from the cystitis. and go on to get healthy enough to have my son. And then I wrote a book. And then from there, I created the Integrative Healing Academy. Just as my practice grew, I knew I needed more practitioners. So now, just as of Sunday, we just hit 19 practitioners. I've got hopefully another 4 or 5 that will graduate in the next couple months. So my goal is to have at least 100 practitioners. We're going to our 2-year anniversary on June the 1st was when we launched the academy. So we're doing great. We're pretty well almost at 100 students. And I find for me, like the academy, we don't just want to take thousands of people on because we couldn't provide them with the support. So we're keeping our enrollment a little bit smaller. We want to really focus on people who are very passionate about this and are aligned with what we teach in the program and wanting to live authentically through it. And so very excited for everything that's coming there.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. So, I love the holistic approach. So, can you talk a little bit more about kind of the methodology or modalities that you lean into in terms of healing the self?
Yeah. So on my journey, there was so much trial and error. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And then I started to work as a practitioner. I took a course. Again, I didn't know what the heck I was doing back then. But I had a lot of past knowledge, not from the course, but from healing myself. And I kind of was still doing things very piecemeal. So it's the allopathic model. You go to a doctor, they say, "What are your symptoms?" And you tell them your symptoms, and they say, "Okay, I think it's this." And they either give you a supplement or medication based on what they think it is, or they run some labs based on what they think it is to try to turn off the symptom, right? And so it's very much geared to let's turn off the symptom. And over the years, I've worked with hundreds of people in over 28 countries now. And I realized that it doesn't work like that. It's not about the symptoms. It's about let's see what's going on in the body. And instead of trying to turn off the symptom, let's just give the body tools to heal. And so if we see that, oh, the thyroid is suboptimal, let's support the thyroid. If we see that the detox pathways aren't working, which is like 100% of everybody, let's support the detox pathways based on the lab. If the mitochondria need support, let's do that. That's our energy centers. So we look at the whole body. We run labs and look at the whole body versus saying, oh, you're having some PMS. It must be your hormones. So let's just run a test and give you hormones. It's a very different approach. And so the labs that I use tell us what's going on in all of the systems. And we do it in a certain path and a certain framework that we're really working with the body instead of against it. So for instance, a lot of people think that their issues have to do with hormones. So they start tackling their hormones and we're like, no, let's do this foundation and let's give your body tools so that your body can rebalance the hormones on its own. So we don't tackle hormones right away. We create this foundation of health by running what I call the foundation labs, which is an organic acids test, blood work, and genetics. And that information together gives us this really cool picture on what's going on with detox, with your brain, because if our brain is not healthy, nothing else is going to be healthy. And 99% of practitioners seem to forget about that. It tells us your energy centers, do they need help? Because if you're not producing enough energy, do you think your hormones are going to work well? Probably not, right? So these foundation labs give us this foundation of support. It's like building a house. And we do that first. And then eventually we do hormones and adrenals and gut and heavy metals and all this other work, but the foundation comes first.
Oh, that's awesome. It kind of reminds me, I was having a conversation with someone this weekend and we were talking about makeup of all things. And I was like, good looking makeup starts with like good skin. So you have to have a good foundation in order for you to start seeing the results that you're actually looking for. So that's wonderful. I heard you say like supplements and medications. Can you describe what the difference between the two are?
Yeah, so when we look at a medication, they are basically trying to turn off a symptom. And they pretty much all of them come with some type of side effect. So they're not helping the body, they're turning off a symptom so you can continue on doing what you're doing, right? And so it's saying, I should really clean up my diet. but I don't want to. So I'm going to take this medication that's going to make me lose weight, and I'm going to keep being able to put all this toxic stuff in my body, and I don't have to make any changes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with supplements, we're saying, okay, what does the body need to heal? How can we address that with supplements? And supplements are basically just things that you would find in food, amplified to a higher amount so that we're giving your body more of it. And right now our foods are depleted, our toxic burden is very high. So we need more than what we can find in food. And we're basically just giving the body support so the body can start to heal and repair. So two very different ways of looking at health.
Oh, I love that. For supplements, do you find that it's good to have like a multivitamin, or should you people pick like based off of exactly what their body needs?
Yeah, I never use a multivitamin. They're basically expensive pee and poop, because combining things like calcium with iodine and copper and iron and all these things, minerals that really, when you put them together like that, you don't absorb any of it. And then you've got so many different B vitamins, and you've got all of these supplements all together that the body is like, I can't do this all at one time. So for me, I want to run the labs because it tells us what form you need. So different people need different forms of B12. Different people need different forms of folate. So we want to check what form you need, and then we want to space it out. We don't want to be throwing all of these minerals and vitamins at the body at one time. We want to space it out for maximum absorption, because why take a multivitamin that most of it's going to pass through you? It just ends up becoming a waste of money. So for me, run the labs, see what the body needs, and then really customize what form you're taking and put things in a certain place during your day so that you're maximizing the absorption.
Love that. So when you say forms, is it more than just like a pill?
So a form is, we'll use B12. So B12 comes in different forms. It comes in cyanocobalamin, which is basically B12 coupled with a cyanide molecule. And that's the cheapest one that's found in most of those crappy cheap multivitamins that you get at like Walmart and stuff like that. So it's very, very toxic for you. We don't want that one. But it's very cheap, and that's why it's in the supplement. So then we have another form called methylfolate. And right now, a lot of people are like, I need methyl B12, because there's a lot of talk in the natural health world about the MTHFR gene. And so people are like, I must have that. Some people test and know they have it, but most people guess. And they're like, I must have that form because they say it's better. But it's not. If I was to take a lot of methyl B12, I would end up in a psychiatric ward because I would go crazy. I would go into such a manic state that I could start to go into psychosis. So in all seriousness, it's really important to know what forms of supplements you take. And then there's two other forms of B12 called hydroxy B12 and one called adenosine B12. So by running our genetics, we can see what form of B12 we need. And that goes with a lot of different supplements that we take. Like some people are like, oh, my joints hurt, I'm going to take glucosamine and MSM. And for some people, that's great. And for other people, it will cause them to have anxiety or issues with detox or migraines or depression. And a lot of people can't even tie it to the supplement because they don't understand the science behind these forms of nutrients that they're putting in their bodies.
Wow. So the labs are very, very important is what I'm getting.
Very important, just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. And so if someone is unable to get the labs, what are some things that they can do to be preventative or make sure that, their bodies are at the most optimum they can?
Yeah. So if people aren't going to run the labs, then you're going to start wanting to work on your diet as much as possible. You're going to want to cut out processed foods and reduce your toxic burden, because the more you reduce your toxic burden, the less supplements you'll need over time. It's still going to take a lot of time for your body to catch up on your past toxic burden because most of us are not aware of how many toxins we put into our bodies on a daily basis.
Mm.
So that's what you're putting on your skin, that's the air you breathe, that's the water you drink, that's where you get your meat from. Start buying from the farm versus buying from the grocery store. Work to eat organic or locally grown as much as you possibly can, and move away from things that are in a package, because if they can last on a shelf for many years, they're preserved, they have a lot of preservatives, while they're taking off that time on your life instead. So we want to move away, really reduce our toxic burden slowly, because if we start doing it very quickly, we're not going to stick to it. But slowly looking at your cleaning supplies in your house, checking, getting a good air filter running, getting a good filter for your water so that you're not putting all the toxins from the water into your body. If you live on a well, then that's often a much better option. Always get things tested, but we want to just really reduce our toxins as much as possible, and like increase the amount of real food we're eating, from well-sourced meat and good vegetables and fruit and well-sourced grains. There's a really big difference between something called einkorn wheat versus the white stuff that they've got on the shelf at the grocery store. So we want to start looking into those more traditional ways of eating, so we're fueling our body as much as we can.
I love this. This is like, I've started looking into, like, I live in downtown Los Angeles, so it's not like I have a farm or anything, or that much access to my own like land to plant anything, but I am building my own like balcony garden, and it's just like little
Beautiful.
steps to, like, one
Yeah.
day I'll have my own homestead and I'll be able to have all access to a lot more fruits and vegetables that I know exactly where it's coming from, but we still have opportunities to go to like the farmers market and
Yeah.
looking and searching for organic foods and that kind of thing. So we can always play into ways to
Totally.
find what's better for us, no matter where we're living and where we have access to.
Well, and in the US, it's really great. Like, I buy raw dairy that's not pasteurized, because I don't want my milk superheated and all the good stuff destroyed. So I get some of it. I drive an hour, but we have access to farms online, and you can have it direct shipped to your door. Like Dutch Meadows is amazing. Amos Miller, I think that he rebranded to Miller Farms because the government keeps trying to shut him down, because they don't want you to be eating this clean food. They want you to eat the crappy stuff on the grocery store. So we have all these online farms. Wild Pastures is another one. They have really clean meat, and we have access. Yes, it's more expensive, but if we can delegate some of those things, like we're wasting money at coffee at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and how much we're spending on the movies or these other things, we can take that money and start really putting it into what we're eating and putting it into our bodies.
Oh yeah. And if you think about it over the long term, right? Do you want to be spending the money on like hospital bills and all of that? Or would you rather spend the money on eating something and fueling your body and building up that
Exactly.
longevity?
Yes, and that's a perfect point. Right? Because I'm a Canadian, and don't get me wrong, I would much rather any day pay for my health insurance and have access to immediate care than have to wait a year in Canada. But yeah, like, it's definitely a big shift when we come here. You want to keep yourself healthy as much as you can.
Hmm. Ooh, I love that. So, in shifting that conversation more to like vibration and mindset, how
Yeah.
does that play into our health?
So if you're in a state of fight or flight from stress, right? People don't think of it that they think, well, I'm not really that stressed. But if you have thoughts about, if you're afraid of something, if you're having issues with your relationship, if you're having issues with your job or work, or anything that's putting you into this state of fight or flight on a regular basis, it's burning through resources.
Mhm.
And a lot of us feel that because we're not directly exercising or we're not actually moving, they can't see that that stress is actually no different than running all day from a tiger. And if we can't move ourselves into a place of peace, it's going to be very hard to heal. Even when we run the labs and we get the supplements on board, it's like putting water into a bucket that has a hole in it. it's just going to keep flowing out. So we put the supplements in, and because you're running from a tiger all day in your mind, even though you're sitting not doing much, all that supplements are just being washed out. And in order to heal, we have to stop that. And that's where the mindset work, the meditation, the spiritual, whatever it is that people believe in, it doesn't matter. You have to tune into that, and you have to find some sort of peace. And you don't have to, be joyful and excited when you're really sick or going through stuff, but it's coming to a place of peace and slowly being there more and more. You're not going to go from super stressed, anxiety, running from a tiger all day to, oh, I'm so calm and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you can find moments of that during the day by practicing mindset work and meditation and mindfulness or prayer or whatever anybody believes in, but it's really starting to move to more and more moments of a different vibration. So going from stressed to peace, and then eventually once your peace is there for a while, then you can start moving to more times of joy and those higher vibration states like gratitude, finding gratitude for what you have and anything in your life. Those higher states even move the healing even faster.
Ooh, yes, I love that. And what would you say is like a big proponent to being able to move those frequencies?
It's putting the work in and learning new tools, right? Because they say to me all the time, I can't meditate, my mind won't stop. And it's not about stopping your mind. It's about learning new tools to handle the stress in your life, because we're never going to live in a bubble of no stress. Like, it's not going to happen. We have to delegate, set boundaries, ask for help, say no. And when our plate is overflowing, we have to say no and not take something else on. So all of these tools that we can learn are going to help us move into that place of peace.
Yes, I love that. So I know for me, I think it's a big important thing is to be self-aware, right? Noticing those moments of when you're stressing out. And if you're in a constant state of stress, it might be hard to recognize that, wait a minute, I'm stressed out right now because I've always been stressed. I don't even know what peace is like.
Yeah.
Right? So I always talk about, we have to be aware first. And I have an Activate Your Inner Shift meditation series that that starts off with like, how are we going to be aware? So I notice with myself when I'm spiraling and I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good in my body to be saying these things or thinking these things or whatever. And catching myself in that moment so that I can have a moment to like reframe. And just that slight little reframe can shift our vibration and shift our focus.
Huge. It's totally huge.
Yeah. Amazing. So talk a little bit about your book.
So my book was, I literally took all of my knowledge and tried to put it into these pages. It wasn't all because I couldn't fit it, but I wanted to give people in my book the tools to heal themselves and really outline the program that I go to so that people would be empowered. They could take the book to their own practitioner and be like, I want to get these labs. And in the back of the book, I have an appendix that you can, start to learn how to analyze your labs. And it walks you through the whole process that I take. And then that's all in part 1 and the appendix. And then part 2, I talk about all the different tools that can help you make those mindset shifts. So setting boundaries, time management, which is really self-management because we can't change time, and going over, healthy relationships and conscious parenting. So just different tools to help change the way that you look at the world. And then in my book, in part 3, I also do a lot of focus on meditation because, different guided meditations, because people think that meditation has to be just quieting your mind. And it can be that, but it also doesn't have to be that. There's so many different things it can be.
Oh, yeah. Totally agree. I have some guided meditations throughout this podcast of people like look backwards, but also because I find sometimes my brain is going, and I practice daily meditation. And so my brain is really, really going. So having someone else's voice to try to like soothe it is so helpful. And there's no right or wrong. The purpose is really just finding some peace for yourself, finding that inner, calming the mindset down and shifting your frequency. So as long as you get there, it doesn't really matter which way you go.
No, it doesn't matter how. It's just that's where we're aiming for, is to bring the body to a state of peace so it can shift from burning resources to repairing. and it can't do that in fight or flight. Like, it's not the same mechanism. It's one is breakdown, one is repair. And if we don't find that peace balance, we can't move the lever the way we want it.
Yes, yes. So can you talk about a little bit? I recall you saying if we move to like joy, then we can heal faster. So, can you talk a little bit about how that like spectrum works?
Yeah. So when you're in those higher vibration frequencies, the body is going to start releasing a lot of different neurotransmitters that really feel good. And those chemicals really move the healing state even quicker. There's so many people out there who have healed just by shifting their mindset and the way they look at life. We have Anita Morjani, who healed from stage 4 cancer. She was literally dying and had an internal shift and was able to move to a totally different space. So, for some people that can be really tough to get there. So that's why we still love to work on the body with the supplements and all these things that we can do so much faster. But the more we do that, the more we release all of these good chemicals in the body, and it really just helps the healing process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so mind, body, and spirit, just nurturing it all. I love it. That's what I'm here for.
100%.
All right. So, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to connect?
So you can go to my website, www.sgintegrativehealing.com, and check out my coaching packages and my program. You can also check out my book, Heal Yourself. It's available on Amazon and Audible and Kindle. And if you're interested, there's a huge need for practitioners right now. So with the Integrative Healing Academy, we are training people to become practitioners. And if you have a passion for holistic healing and all things natural and wellness, then check that out. It's www.integrativehealingacademy.com.
Beautiful. All right. So, you know me, it's time for a tarot reading.
Love it.
Yep. Is there a particular question that you have in mind, or would you like a general message?
I'd like a general message.
All right, let's go for it. All right, so we have the Two of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, and the Eight of Swords. And I feel like this message is more for like anyone listening that's like in this like healing space in general, like looking for healing, looking to go because we have with the Two of Pentacles, it's like there's so many options out there, and we're trying to like move so many balls in the air, and it's like we need to like slow down and focus on maybe one thing at a time. Kind of like we were talking about the multivitamins, right? If we have all of this stuff going in our body, like it's just flushing down the toilet, right? So we have to slow down. Otherwise, we put ourselves in a state of just burdening ourselves even more. So the message here is really like that slow down to speed up, taking your time, enjoying the moment, shifting the frequency. Little by little, we get to the place that we always want to be. So enjoy the moment, which I love. I love that little.
I love that. And it really has been a lesson that I've learned and really reiterated. Like, I teach this, but sometimes we get too carried away. And right now I'm working on a TEDx talk and a lot of growth with the Academy and doing so much. And we had two people in our family sadly pass away. And it really brought me back down. So that has been a repetitive theme in my life, to slow down, not do so much, and just take the next step and be in the right frequency on the path and trust the process. That has been, and it's hilarious that it's the same message, right? I just keep giving this message because it's so much in me to be so driven right now, especially we have so many plans for the Academy, and it's just slow down and allow it to just come together. Just take the next step and everything else will fall into place, and don't do so much, just enjoy the process. So 100% resonated with me also.
Perfect. I love that. And then one more question. So with your Academy, is there like a certification that comes from it once you go through it?
Yeah, so with the academy, we have 3 levels. Level 1 is just become your own practitioner. Learn how to use this for yourself and your family. You don't get certified, but you have the support. You get access to wholesale labs, and we're there to help you with everything, not just for yourself, but your family. And we've made it like so affordable for everybody. We have an awesome payment plan. And then level 2 is where you become a practitioner, and that's where you are certified as an integrative healing practitioner, which is a health coach. Any online program that you go to, whether they're telling you they're going to, give you a doctorate or whatever, you're still being certified as a health coach and in that umbrella. And then for our practitioners that they go on to start working with clients, we have a really good terms of service. We're not doctors. We don't diagnose or treat disease. We give people such detailed information, but the people that come to us, they're tired of what they're hearing from doctors.
Mhm.
They're tired and they want other information that they're not going to find there. So they're welcome to get it from our experience. And then we do have level 3 in the academy, and that's all about the business aspects, scaling to 10K months, getting that 6-figure business. We have that goal for every single one of our practitioners. And that's why we created the business mastermind, where we literally hold people's hand, whether we're holding hands or cracking whips, we're helping you get where you need to be.
I love it. That's amazing and magical. So thank you so much, Sandie, for sharing your magic and your medicine with us today. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
Oh, first, thank you so much for having me. It was great. I loved it. For anybody who's getting into wanting to heal naturally, just realize that it is a process. Don't try to do everything at once. You're going to get overwhelmed and frustrated and burnt out. Don't fall for any of the crazy diets that are out there. You can heal with balance, and you don't have to live in a bubble when you're healing. You can definitely still enjoy some of the foods that you love on a occasional basis. You don't have to just cut everything out, and you can find balance. You don't have to cut all the carbs or go vegan or cut all the cut out all of the plant-based. Like, you don't have to go to extremes. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can be very balanced and centered, exactly what we're talking about, right? Like with the
Mhm.
tarot reading, is we can find that balance, and we can do it in a very vibrational match to where we are. It doesn't have to be healing. It doesn't have to be stressful. Healing shouldn't be stressful.
Yes, it's the opposite of healing, stress.
Right. Opposite of healing is stress.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you again. Remember, friends, all the information you need is going to be in the show notes with the links and all of that goodness. Like, share, subscribe. And if you're interested in more meditation support, you can always go to the Activate Your Inner Shift that's found on my website, www.mamateenergy.com. And then we also have the home membership community that is open for you to join and get support and holding that radical self-responsibility for creating the life of your desires. With that, I'll say ta-ta for now.